Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So yesterday I came out with an episode asking you to please help me break this card. And you, the wonderful people from the Commander community, came through. I had an initial idea for a combo and I felt like I was just missing one piece, and within minutes there were multiple solutions in the comments. So a huge thank you to everyone who helped out with a solution and shared the episode. It literally helped me sleep last night. Because if I didn't figure it out before I went to bed, I probably was going to have my wheels turning the whole night trying to figure out a solution and not being able to come up with one. So thank you. So with this episode, I'm going to be going over a lot of the combo solutions that I found in the comments. Now I tried to like, heart, and reply to as many of you as possible in the comments below that sent over a solution, but there's absolutely no way that I could have gotten to all of them, so my apologies if I missed yours. Now with that episode, as with this one, a quick spoiler warning before we jump into the card that started this whole thing. The card is from Kaldheim, and if you don't want to see a spoiler, then don't watch this episode. Maybe instead go watch an episode from Quest for the Jank Lord, and maybe even the one I'm on. Actually, I'm on 2 of them. Watch them both. Those guys do fantastic Commander gameplay episodes, and they are a lot of fun. But if you're okay with spoilers, then let's jump into it. So the card that got spoiled yesterday that got this whole thing started is Narfi, Betrayer King. A 4/3 zombie wizard for 3 blue-black, and it makes other snow and zombie creatures you control get +1/+1, but that's not the important part. The important piece is that it has pay snow, 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 return Narfi Betrayer King from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So this is a reassembling skeleton commander, but you've got to use 3 snow mana to get it out of your graveyard. Now from the onset, I knew that this wasn't going to be one of the most powerful combo commanders of all time or anything like that. I just thought it'd be fun to build a janky combo around this. Putting all the pieces together and figuring those things out is just something I enjoy doing, even if I don't enjoy actually playing those types of decks. So let's talk about my initial idea in the setup that I did have. Essentially, I was trying to find a way to sacrifice this commander over and over and over again and keep getting 3 snow mana so that I can keep getting it back out of the graveyard. So the point that I got to, and this is where I got stuck, was having Thermal Flux and Ashnod's Altar be part of this combo. Thermal Flux lets you make 1 non-snow permanent become snow until end of turn. And then Ashnod's Altar is a pretty infamous combo piece. It's an artifact that costs 3 and it has sacrifice a creature, add colorless colors to your mana pool. So essentially you make your Ashnod's Altar into a snow artifact and then it can make snow mana. And actually, just to clarify, since there were a lot of questions in the comments below, yes, this does produce snow mana. You can even just read the reminder text on Narfi for clarification. In the parentheses, it says, snow mana can be paid with 1 mana from a snow source. So essentially, you're using Thermal Flux to turn Ashnod's Altar into a snow source. So when you sacrifice Narfi to it, you make snow snow. Now that's a great combination, but it's just not quite there. Because with Narfi, you obviously need 3 snow mana and not 2. Now, obviously, even if this were to produce 3 snow mana and you keep getting your commander back and forth from your graveyard into play, that really doesn't do anything. Obviously, there are plenty of finishers that you could consider, like a Zulaport Cutthroat, that would just finish your opponents off once you got this loop. But what I asked of all of you is to help me find that missing piece to help me get to at least 3 snow mana. That way I can actually achieve the loop and make this combo work. And again, a huge thank you to everyone who commented below and helped out. There were an incredible amount of solutions in the comments, and many people came up with the same solution and different solutions, so I'm going to try to tackle as many as I can here. So let's go over the first type of solution. Ironically, this solution was right in front of me the entire time because literally last night on Cockatrice, I played with this deck. The commander that leads my newest addition to my decks literally was the solution to this combo. If you haven't seen that episode already, make sure you check it out, but if you have, you would know that it is Tormod the Desecrator. Tormod has, whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. Now there are a lot of cards that can fill a similar spot and we'll go through those here in a bit, but let's talk about how the combo actually works first. So including Narfi, these are the 3 pieces of the combo. So as I said earlier, you cast Thermal Flux to make Ashnod's Altar into a snow artifact until end of turn. You sacrifice your commander and you add snow snow to your mana pool. Now you do need at least 1 more snow mana, so if you've got a snow land or another creature that you can sacrifice, that works. So then you pay 3 snow mana to bring Narfi back out of your graveyard. When you do that, Tormod's going to trigger and give you a 2/2 black zombie. Then you sacrifice Narfi and the zombie to make 4 snow mana. You use 3 of that mana to get your commander back out from your graveyard, you get another zombie, and you repeat this process. Every time that you repeat this, you get an additional snow mana. So you do it as many times as you want and basically get infinite snow mana. Then you essentially can get infinite zombies since you don't have to sacrifice them anymore to get your commander back out. Now, infinite mana and infinite zombies doesn't just straight up win you the game. But there are plenty of ways to win from there, and again, if you've got something like a Zulaport Cutthroat in play, it does. Now, I did say that there are other cards that can essentially fill the exact same role as Tormod, so let's go through those now. Desecrated Tomb has whenever 1 or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. So for this scenario, essentially the exact same thing as Tormod, but you're making bats instead of zombies. Genesis Chamber is another option. It says whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, if Genesis Chamber is untapped, that creature's controller creates a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact creature token. So somewhat similar, but this one's about coming into play versus leaving the graveyard. And then there's Pawn of Ulamog, which goes about this in a different way. It has whenever it or another non-token creature we control dies, we may create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token. It has sacrifice this creature, add colors to your mana pool. So when we sacrifice Narfi, we get an Eldrazi spawn. Now we're actually not going to sacrifice the Eldrazi spawn with its ability, but we're going to sacrifice it to the altar instead. Because if we just sacked it to itself, we'd just be getting 1 colorless mana. And again, if we sacrifice it to the altar, we get 2 snow mana. And then basically a second Pawn of Ulamog is Sifter of Skulls, which essentially does the exact same thing. I guess except they're Eldrazi Scions and not Eldrazi Spawn. Ogre Slumlord is another option. It has whenever another non-token creature dies, you may create a 1/1 black rat creature token, and rats you control have Death Touch. So instead of Eldrazi, we're getting a ton of rats. Bridge from Below is actually another option, but this one's kind of weird because it actually has to be in our graveyard. It has whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, if Bridge from Below is in your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So it works a little differently, but it still works. Open the Graves is another enchantment option. It has whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And then the last of these options, which works in a different way, is Mikaeus the Unhallowed. It has other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Undying. Zarfi isn't a human, so it has Undying, so when we sacrifice Zarfi, it's going to come back with a +1/+1 counter on it. So to start, we sacrifice Zarfi with Ashnod's Ultra to get 2 snow mana. It comes back with a +1/+1 counter on it, then we sacrifice it again for 2 more snow mana. Now this time, Undying isn't going to help it come back, but we don't need it to. Since we have 4 snow mana, we just pay 3 of that to get Narfi back. Then we repeat this process over and over and over again. Again, there might be some options for this slot that I missed, and my apologies if I did. Just trying to cover as many as I possibly can. Next up, there are also a couple of people who brought up that there actually is an alternative for another piece of the combo. So when it comes to that first piece of the combo that I talked about with Thermal Flux, there's actually an alternative card that works. And that would be Rime Feather Owl. It has pay 1 in a snow, put an ice counter on target permanent. Permanents with ice counters on them are snow. So this is actually a permanent effect as long as Rime Feather Owl's in play. Just keep in mind though that to do this, it's going to cost you 9 mana in total versus 1 from Thermal Flux. But it's always a good idea to have redundancy and multiple options. But now let's go on to some more solutions, and I'm just going to call this one solution 2. And this one actually utilizes a card that I have never heard of before, and it's really spicy. It very well might just be my favorite iteration of this combo. So for this combo to work, obviously you need your commander Narfi, Intruder Alarm, Cormus Bell, which again is that card that I have never heard of before, in any sacrifice outlet. Or essentially I should say any free sacrifice outlet, or basically one that you can pay through for this combo. We'll get to that here in a second. For now, let's just assume that we've got a free sacrifice outlet. Let's also assume that we've got at least 3 snow-covered swamps in play. Anyways, Intruder Alarm, which I am far too familiar with this card from my childhood, but that's a different story for a different day, says creatures don't untap when their controllers untap steps. Whenever a creature comes into play, untap all creatures. And again, Cormus Bell is a very old card, so I'll read the Oracle text, and it says, all swamps are 1/1 black creatures that are still lands. So the combo works like this. We sacrifice our commander for free to get him into our graveyard. We tap our snow-covered swamps for 3 snow mana, and then we get our commander back. Intruder Alarm activates and untaps all creatures. And again, that includes our snow-covered swamps, which we just tap because they are creatures. So we can keep doing this loop over and over again. Again, if our sacrifice outlet has a certain effect, we get that infinite times. And again, if we have just 1 more snow-covered swamp in play, we get infinite black mana. Now, there are certain alternatives to Cormus Bell, but it is the simplest solution. Still, redundancy is important, so let's go through the other options. And this involves snowlands that can turn into creatures. So at this point, Frostwalk Bastion and Faceless Haven are the only 2 snowlands that can actually turn into a creature. Though we do have other lands that can actually copy one of these, like a Thespian Stage. So again, it does require more setup, but basically when we have 3 snowland creatures, we can tap for 3 snow mana and keep getting them untapped with Intruder Alarm. Another option that we've actually seen earlier is Rime Feather Owl. If we've got other lands that can turn into creatures, but they're not snowlands, we can turn them into snow with this. And kind of in a reverse way, we've got another new card from Kaldheim with Avalanche Caller that can work as well. And a big thanks to MTG Goldfish for the translation on this one. By paying 2, target snowland we control becomes a 4/4 elemental creature with haste and hexproof until end of turn. It's still a land. So essentially you need 6 mana and 3 untapped snowlands to get the exact same effect. Regardless, again, all these work in a similar way to Cormus Bell. Next up, we've got what I'm calling Solution 3, which is somewhat similar to the last one, but it's different enough that I'm going to include it in a separate solution. This one utilizes Thermal Flux, Soldavi Adnate, and Intruder Alarm. Soldavi Adnate is essentially playing the Ashnod's Altar piece here. It has tap, sacrifice a black or artifact creature, add an amount of black equal to the sacrificed creature's converted mana cost. So we use Thermal Flux to make it a snow creature until end of turn. We tap and sacrifice our commander to get 5 black snow mana, then we recast our commander for 3 of that, and then Intruder Alarm triggers, and you see where this is going. Soldavi Adnate on tap so we can do it again and again and again. And we've got one more combo to go over, which is a really spicy one as well. So this last solution involves any free sacrifice outlet, but let's just use Ashnod's Altar as an example, Rooftop Storm, and Liliana Untouched by Death. Rooftop Storm says you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a zombie creature spells you cast. And Liliana's -3 is you may cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn. So this kind of gets around the whole paying 3 snow mana to get it back, and this actually can go infinite with any zombie, but I still thought it was clever enough to include. And also, for those of you asking if you actually need Liliana for this, you do. Although you can cast your commander for free the first time from the command zone with Rooftop Storm, you can't just keep doing that. You sacrifice your commander and put him back in the command zone, then you're going to have to pay 2 extra for commander tax. Obviously, Ashnod's Altar can cover that the first time, but unfortunately, it's not going to keep covering it as it adds up to more and more and more. Liliana helps you get around this because, again, casting your commander from your graveyard doesn't give you extra commander tax. But again, a huge thank you to everyone who helped. Whether that was sharing your solution to the combo or sharing the episode, it really meant a lot to me. So next time I get stuck on a spoiler that I want to break but can't quite get there, I know who to ask for help. Thank you again, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing these solutions as much as I did. And with that, the show has come to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thank you again, and have a good one.